sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Hey, looks like nothing's gonna change.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is John Legend. You probably know that because you're on my Instagram page. Welcome back to Trailer Talk. We're in season 27 of The Voice, which means it's my 10th season, and that means it's season 10 of Trailer Talk. We have not been canceled yet, and that's also because it's on my Instagram page. Anyway, I'm so happy to do Trailer Talk in this beautiful setting. You know, we've been next to trailers, we've been in back rooms on the set of The Voice, we've been in hallways, but today they let me take over the main stage at the studio at Universal Studios, and I'm very excited. We've done nothing like this, nothing of this magnitude before in the history of Trailer Talk, and it's very fitting that our guest for this program is an artist of massive stature, massive popularity. He's beloved around the world, and now he's a coach on The Voice, doing his second season on The Voice. We're so excited. Canada's favorite son, our favorite Canadian, he's here. Please welcome Michael Bublé.
Hey, that was a beautiful, man.
My brother.
I'm so impressed. I can't believe you could afford this studio.
Oh my God, the rent is a lot, but it was worth it because we've got such a great guest on the show. We're so happy to have you here,
I'm
Michael.
so happy. Thanks for asking me.
Now, we're going to sing together, but I like to talk to my guests first.
Sure.
And, you know, get to know them. How's it been coaching on The Voice? You've had such a marvelous career, but this is a different thing to do The Voice. How's it feel being a coach now for your second season?
That's going to sound like cliche, but you and I and the other coaches have been lucky enough to basically have our dreams come true. We worked, I know we worked and all that stuff, but it's very cool and fulfilling to feel like you can be functional in helping someone actually, and by the way, watching them grow week to week, it's a trip for me because I was a little bit cynical, I think, and I was like, oh, is it TV? Is it great editing? But no, you get to know these people, like, you get to really know them, care for them. And there's a great satisfaction in watching them week to week grow exponentially in their confidence and watching that talent just kind of come to the fore. It's amazing.
And I will say, from watching you interact with your artists, even in the blinds prior to them being on your team, I see in you a lot of empathy and like emotional connection and emotional intelligence. And I see a lot of gratitude from you for your career and for what position you're in, and the ability to help them. And I find that really admirable watching you as a coach.
Thank you, likewise. And I was not surprised to find out that this is deeper than a TV show. You know, it's not a game for you, even though we have to sort of play it like it is. But I wasn't surprised to know that you have become friends and stayed in contact with people from years now.
Yes, I have. When someone joins my team, I always follow them on social. So I follow them on Instagram, follow them on Twitter. And so I'm always paying attention to what's going on in their lives. They're out gigging, they're always doing different things. And I like to follow and just see where this journey has taken them since they've been on the show. And a lot of them have taken advantage of the opportunities they got from being on the show and parlayed that into other opportunities. And it's fun for me to watch them do that. And I encourage them to stay in touch with me. They send me songs sometimes and just want my feedback and advice on what they're doing, and I enjoy doing that.
Well, it says a lot about you.
But
it really does.
I think you're the type of coach that will do the same thing now that you've had some experience coaching on the show.
For sure.
I feel like you'll be able to do the same thing and give them real genuine advice because you've seen a lot. Talk about your journey. One of the things you talk about with our artists when you're advising them is how it was hard for you to sell what you were offering. This really unique point of view and a style of music that may not be all over the radio, but you made the industry make space for what you were creating.
Yeah, it was just funny. I was just talking about it with a friend. I was 16 when I started working in clubs and stuff, and my grandfather was a plumber, so he would he would do jobs if the musicians would let me up on stage.
Cool.
And I did that for forever. It felt like it was about 13 years. I didn't get signed till I was 26.
Yeah. My first album came out on my 26th birthday. I know the feeling.
I drove the producer David Foster nuts. Like I drove him nuts. I was just lethal. Like I just didn't leave him alone. And I was like, David, take me to Warner, take me to Warner. And finally, speaking of like finding that space, I remember sitting with the president of Warner. His name was Tom Wally. Really,
I know Tom.
Very scary at the time.
I know David as well.
Yeah.
David's like one of the great producers of all time, and is a fellow Canadian. But he's produced Celine Dion and Whitney Houston and like some of the biggest artists you could think of.
So basically, I sat down in this chair with Tom, and I remember he sat me down and he said, like literally, this is the meeting, and he said, why should we sign you? He said, we have Sinatra on reprise. And I remember, it was like one of those quintessential, it was like the moment. And I remember I said—
What was your elevator pitch?
My elevator pitch was simple. I said, Mr. Wally, I said, Mr. Sinatra's gone, he's dead.
Yeah.
I said, don't bury the music. I said, let me show you that I can be one of the people that advocates and fights and keeps it alive for generations to come.
Yeah.
And that was it. Then we sat and listened to music.
And when did you have that vision for yourself as an artist? When did you figure out that was what your niche was going to be?
No, I was 12.
Yeah.
11. 12.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it's
and
gonna
is
sound—
this your parents exposing you to this?
No,
or like,
it was
or you were going against the grain?
It was really Italian, very Italian family. And my grandfather, Mitch, was a plumber, but he loved Dean Martin. He loved the Mills Brothers. He loved Nat and Sarah Vaughan and Ella. And it was like sitting down we would sit down in his living room and he would say, Sunshine, I want you to learn this, I want you to learn, and he would just song after song. And I was into it. It wasn't like he had to push me. And then it was just this love and this passion. It was like osmosis, because I would sit and I would like, at that time there were cassettes.
Yeah.
So he would go from his record collection and he would put all the songs on, he would tape them, and I would just listen all night.
You made your mixtapes?
Yeah, mixtapes.
I love it.
And I would listen, and then I would—
That's what the name mixtape comes from for you kids.
Yeah.
People would actually record onto cassette tapes, their little playlists, and make mixtapes.
Yeah.
And that's where the term comes from. I know you've probably never seen a cassette before, but that's what they are.
And so I would study, and I mean study, like without meaning to study.
Yeah.
I loved it so much that from when I was 12 to when I got a car, my license at 16, I would listen so much, and then it started to be everybody. And it was like, then I got into my first singing coach was a guy named Ray Carroll. He was one of the original Platters. And so then all of a sudden it was Donny Hathaway.
More soul music, yes.
So, and then when I discovered that, it was like, that was like mind-blowing to me.
Yes.
And it felt so, I just loved rhythm and blues. I loved gospel. I remember he sent me, put your hand in the hand of a man. And I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
I got one more question before we start singing.
Sure.
You also became a songwriter as well.
Yeah.
So when did you discover not just that you wanted to keep this classic music alive, but you also wanted to create new classics, new standards that you were writing? When did you figure out, I'm a writer too?
It's a good question, because I knew as a kid. I mean, I wrote a song called Everything, and it became a hit song later, but I wrote it when I was 17.
Okay.
And it was a waltz. I wrote it, each night I wonder, it was this waltz, and then when I got signed at 27, 26. But what was funny is on the first record, I remember coming to Foster, and I was like, okay, man, I got this song, I got everything, I had all these songs.
Yeah.
And I remember him and Tom Wally going, no, man.
We didn't sign you to write.
No, they were like, you're a Sinatra guy.
Yeah.
You're gonna do like the Dean Martin stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I do that too. And I remember David always had this line. He would say, yeah, man, maybe on your solo record. And I would, and listen, dude, I got it. At the time, they had invested a ton of dough, infrastructure into this unknown kid that was doing. I mean, I think one of my first singles was Spider-Man.
Had you already done some of the talk show appearances that kind of went viral and stuff like that?
Never.
But that was after your record came out.
After. The first time ever I was on TV was Valentine's Day on the Today Show. I was introduced by Maria Shriver.
Yes.
She introduced me, and I sang a song called "That's All." Katie Couric
I
was
love
with
That's
me.
All. That's a beautiful
song.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being so nervous. It's like I think about these kids a lot when they're up here.
Yeah.
I remember going into the string, the solo, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to just sit there. So I remember getting up and dancing with Katie Couric, and she was so sweet with me. And that was my first time, man. That was
Katie's
like the
a lot
first
of fun.
time.
I'm glad she was
Great
willing
lady.
to have fun
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to have some fun with you. We're going
Sure.
to sing together. We've never sung together
We've
yet.
never sung, and I've never sung this song in my life.
But you told me how much you love soul music,
Love it.
and particularly some of the classics like Otis and Sam Cooke.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna do this Otis Redding classic.
This is
Are
a
y'all
good one.
ready? I'm so excited to sing with Michael
Me
Bublé.
too. I'm a little bit nervous,
Are
actually.
you excited to hear us sing together?
Wow.
Let's do it.
All right. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes.
Yeah, watching the ships roll in, then I watch them roll away again.
Nice, dude. I'm sitting at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Yeah.
I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay.
Yeah, 'cause I have nothing to live for. It looks like nothing's gonna come my way. So
I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away.
yeah, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Hey, looks like nothing's gonna change.
Everything still remains the same.
I can't do what 10 people tell me to do.
So I guess I'll remain the same.
Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone.
Yeah, it's 2,000 miles I roam just to make this old dock my home.
Sing it with me.
Yeah, sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Yeah, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Michael Bublé, everybody!
John Legend, thanks for the invitation, man.
This was so cool. I'm so glad we got to do it.
Thank you,
Let's
brother.
sing together again sometime.
Let's
all
go,
right?
let's go.
Michael Bublé, everybody.
Thank you,
Thanks for
John
watching
Legend's
Trailer Talk.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Woo! I
That was
love
great.
when you go up and you just
Ah.
go, and you get that rip in your voice.
That's that a little
Ooh.
my tenor 2 trying to push into a tenor
That's
1.
really good, man.